In this episode, we will take a look at some strange anomalies that I have come across in the past few days that are directly related to the information we have been discussing previously. This new information serves as corroborating evidence which further points us towards the identity of the Antichrist. By now, my brothers and sisters in Mashiach, you guys understand that there are esoteric allusions being made to the devil constantly through subtle nuances embedded in the propaganda being broadcast to the masses through orchestrated satanic ritual events found in television programming, music, sports, movies, news stories, and social media posts. However, for those who are still in darkness, those who do not have eyes to see, nor a heart to understand, these hidden cues are either completely imperceptible or difficult and almost impossible for them to even acknowledge, let alone to try and grasp or comprehend their meaning. But all praise and honor and glory and power and might be to the Most High God, for He is a revealer of secrets. And as Daniel 2:21-22 declares, He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with Him. On September 6, 2020, Andre 3000 was spotted once again playing his flute on the street.
Good shirt, right?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
How you doing?
Chilling.
Good shirt, right?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
How you doing?
Chilling.
The word September comes from the root septem, which actually means 7. This is because the month of September was originally the 7th month. Therefore, even though September 6 is now 9/6, originally September 6 would actually have been 7/6. This is a reference to the spirit of 76, which is revolution and rebellion, and connects back to Obama's speech at the D20, which was held at the American Revolution Museum in Philadelphia, which connects to the Philadelphia 76ers. Notice the name of the individual who posted this video is Jeff Staple, but his given name is Jeffrey Ng, and he works in creative brand marketing for Fortune 100 companies. Jeff oversees U.S. creative operations for HBX New York, Hypebeast's retail banner, and Jeff is the host of Hypebeast's popular podcast, The Business of Hype. The Business of Hype. The word hype means extravagant or intensive publicity or promotion. We know from Revelation 13:3 that the beast is the Antichrist. Therefore, Jeff's goal is to extravagantly and publicly promote the beast or Antichrist. Notice the caption Jeff wrote declares lunch with a goat and his flute. The goat playing the flute is a reference to Pan, the horned god of the wild, shepherds and flocks, rustic music, and impromptus. This obviously staged rare sighting of Andre 3000 playing his flute was most definitely designed to look like an impromptu meeting. Notice the post had 24,300 likes and 660 comments. 2 plus 4 plus 3 equals 9, plus 660 equals 669. 669, when the 9 is inverted, becomes 666. Although we know that September was originally the 7th month, it is now considered the 9th, so September 6th also represents 9/6, which, when reversed, is 6/9, and represents duality, like the yin and yang symbol. Further, the number 6/9 in duality connects to Andre's instrument, which is actually a Mayan double flute made of 2 resonant pipes. It was crafted by an indigenous man named Guillermo Martinez at Quetzalcoatl Music. Quetzalcoatl is the name of a Mesoamerican deity that is connected with dualism. He is known as the feathered serpent, which is considered allegoric to the dual nature of the god, where being feathered represents its divine nature or ability to fly, to reach the skies, and being a serpent represents its human nature or ability to creep on the ground among other animals of the earth. Quetzalcoatl is also a sun god, and during the spring and autumn equinox, worshippers gather at the Sun Temple Pyramid in Mexico to watch the shadow of the serpent descend down the stairs of the pyramid. Because Quetzalcoatl is a solar deity and serpent, and given his relation to the equinox, he is called the Snake of Sunlight. This connects him with Barack Obama, whose symbol is the rising sun, and who has been connected to the Black Mamba.
What can I say? Mamba out.
With that, I just have two more words to say. Obama out.
The name Quetzalcoatl indicates a feathered serpent, a flying reptile much like a dragon. As we know, the dragon is just another name for the devil and Satan, which also connects back to the goat playing the flute or horned god. Quetzalcoatl's connection to duality also connects him to the rapper 6ix9ine as well. 6ix9ine became an informant and snitched on his gang, so they call him a rat, but he could also be considered a snake, since the definition of a snake is a treacherous or deceitful person, a traitor, and informer. Notice the vibrant colors associated with the plumed serpent Quetzalcoatl, the Mexican god, and with 6ix9ine the rapper, who just so happens to be of Mexican descent. Remember, the number 6 represents man and the number 9 represents perfection, thus duality connected in one body. This also connects back to iPad Goat in the evolution of Barack, or man becoming God. Quetzalcoatl is also called Precious Twin, which connects him to George Floyd, the twin city of Minneapolis, and Stephen Jackson.
They're not going to demean the character of Greg or George Floyd. My twin.
Further, Quetzalcoatl is connected to the Denver airport mural, which displays the leopard with a brightly colored feathered bird above it, labeled Quetzal. Quetzalcoatl comes from Quetzal, the mythological bird, and means to fly or to go away. Coatl means serpent, the rattlesnake that means time. Quetzalcoatl then means the time that goes away, or time that flies. This is the same mural Obama posed in front of, connecting himself both with the leopard and the plumed serpent or dragon, Quetzalcoatl. It is also important to note that in the book Dreams of My Father, Obama connected himself with a leopard and a head wound when he said this: "I finally fell asleep and dreamed I was walking along a village road. Children dressed only in strings of beads played in front of the round huts, and several old men waved to me as I passed. But as I went farther along, I began to notice that people were looking behind me fearfully, rushing into their huts as I passed. I heard the growl of a leopard and started to run into the forest, tripping over roots and stumps and vines, until at least I couldn't run any longer and fell to my knees in the middle of a bright clearing. Panting for breath, I turned around to see the day turned night, and a giant figure looming as tall as the trees, wearing only a loincloth and ghostly mask. The lifeless eyes bored into me, and I heard a thunderous voice saying only that it was time, and my entire body began to shake violently with the sound, as if I were breaking apart. I jerked up in a sweat, hitting my head against the wall lamp that stuck out over the bunk. In the darkness, my heart slowly evened itself, but I couldn't get back to sleep again. Clearly, in this dream, Obama is actually the leopard everyone was afraid of. He then tells us that when the time comes, he receives a head wound from a lamp which gives light or illumination. And from that moment, he calmly accepted the darkness that enveloped him and had awakened him. Matthew 6:23 declares, "But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness?" Obama was speaking about his spiritual enlightenment to darkness, the knowledge or wisdom or awakened intellect, where man becomes illuminated. We saw a depiction of this illumination in I, Pet Goat. It is no coincidence then that Andre 3000 was called a goat playing a flute. We have seen Obama represented as the horn god previously this year as well. Remember the Super Bowl commercial with Bunch Young, where we were shown the two players from the Chargers and Rams sitting together. I told you that the Charger symbol, which is a lightning bolt, represents Barack, which means lightning, and the ram horns represent the horned god, Satan. Remember I told you about the guy that was following me, who was driving a Dodge Ram.
Yeah, I see you.
The players shown here are Derwin James, number 33 of the Chargers, and Jalen Ramsey, number 20 of the Rams. What you may not know is that the numbers 20 and 33 connect to Pop Smoke's death, since he was staying at a house in Mount Olympus where the address was 2033 Hercules Drive in Los Angeles. The Super Bowl was held on February 2nd, 2020, which gives us the number 44, since 22 plus 22 equals 44. And Pop Smoke, whose braids made him look like a ram, became the sacrificial lamb or ram on February 19th, 2020. This means his death was foreshadowed by the Super Bowl commercial. Pop Smoke was allegedly killed by gang members. Remember, Nipsey Hussle's alleged killer, Eric Holder, said that the government promised to pay him $75,000 for killing Nipsey. It is no stretch of the imagination then to postulate that the same secret societies that control governments across the world, politicians, celebrities, the media, and the so-called justice system also exerts control over criminals and street gangs as well. Pop Smoke was killed exactly 24 days after the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant, number 24, was sacrificed. And from Kobe Bryant's blood sacrifice on 1/26 to Chadwick Boseman's sacrifice on 8/28, including the end date, was 216 days. Interestingly enough, 24 times the number 9, which is symbolic of perfection, equals 216. The number 216 represents the number of the beast, since 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216. This is not a coincidence. Mount Olympus is a reference to Zeus, and since Zeus hurls lightning bolts, the Charger's lightning bolt is connected to Zeus. This also connects to Obama, since Barack means lightning, and in 2008, the stage at his acceptance speech, which was given at Mile High Stadium, was made into a replica of the Temple of Zeus. Moreover, in 168 BC, the Greek king Antiochus IV Epiphanes invaded Jerusalem and captured the city. He marched into the Jewish temple, erected a statue of the Greek god Zeus, and sacrificed a pig on the altar of incense. Therefore, Zeus is connected to the abomination of desolation. Aries is related to the astrological sign and is depicted as a ram. In ancient Egyptian astronomy, Aries was associated with the god Amun-Ra, a man with the head of a ram representing fertility and creativity. In the early days of the Egyptian civilization, he was worshipped as two separate gods. Amun was the god who created the universe, and Ra was the god of the sun and light. As it turns out, this year's season of Hard Knocks focuses on these twin teams, the Chargers and the Rams, who are both from Los Angeles and represent the lost or fallen angels. On August 21st, rapper Nas dropped his 13th studio album called King's Disease. The title King's Disease is a reference to the coronavirus, since a king wears a crown or corona and a virus causes disease. The date of his album release, which was 8/21, proves this assertion. Allow me to show you. On January 19th, 2020, a 35-year-old man presented to an urgent care clinic in Snohomish County, Washington, with a 4-day history of cough and subjective fever. He disclosed that he had returned to Washington State from Wuhan, China. The patient stated that because of his symptoms, he was concerned that he had coronavirus. As it turned out, this man became the first confirmed case of coronavirus in the U.S. January 19th to August 21 is 216 days, a reference to the number of the beast, 666. The release of the album, King's Disease, is a reference to Obama receiving his crown as ruler over the world through the coronavirus, and it points to Revelation 6:2, the rider on the white horse, which declares, "And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer." Here's a picture of Nas showing the one-eyed symbolism, as well as the pyramid with his fingers. We've seen other artists make this sign as well. Also remember, Nas, who calls himself God's son, once posed as a false messiah figure in his video, Hate Me Now. The truth is, these artists, celebrities, billionaire business moguls, politicians, corporate sellouts, judges, lawyers, law enforcement, criminals, gang members, and many others from all walks of life sell their soul to the devil in order to gain material possessions, wealth, power, and influence in this world. And when they do, they all meet the same being, although he may appear in different forms. Regardless of that fact, they all must show reverence and pay homage to Barack. This is the reason we see so many abstract, implied, and indirect references to the devil through symbols, allegory, and metaphor put on display through propaganda put forth by the media. I recently began watching a show on Netflix called Stranger Things, about 4 kids who discover supernatural events occurring in their town. I want to share an observation I noticed in this series. In one of the very notable scenes, the kid's science teacher mentions a man named Phineas Gage.
The case of Phineas Gage is one of the great medical curiosities of all time. Phineas was a railroad worker in 1848 who had a nightmarish accident. A large iron rod was driven completely through his head. Phineas miraculously survived. He seemed fine. And physically, yes, he was. But his injury resulted in a complete change to his personality. So much so that friends that knew him started referring to him as no longer Gage.
Now let's look at the strange anomalies connected to Phineas Gage. Phineas Gage was born in the year 1848. The number 18 gives us the number 666, the number of the beast. The number 48, when reversed, gives us 84, Obama's birthday. The 13-pound iron rod that went through his head equals the deadly head wound found in Revelation 13:3. The number 13 means rebellion and revolution. The iron rod is a reference to law and justice, and the iron rod which the man-child wields when he is raised up to his throne. This is found in Revelation 12, verses 3 through 5, which declares, "And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne." After the injury, Phineas only had the use of one eye. This is a reference to Zechariah 11:17, which declares, "Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arm, and upon his right eye. His arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened." In conclusion, we have been given several clues to the identity of the Antichrist. I believe this has been done so that the world will have no excuse when the time comes and he takes his place on the world stage, and the 10 kings give their power to him to rule as the leader of the one world government for 42 months. For those that have eyes to see, it is our responsibility to continue to spread the gospel, and in doing so, light up the darkness, to let the light of God shine, and to expose the hidden evil in this world. If you have not given your life to the Most High by accepting the blood sacrifice of Yahushua HaMashiach, which was shed for you as a propitiation of sin, to offer eternal life to all that believe, the time to do so is now. Amen. Shalom.